Hello, my loves. This is Heidi Raquel with your May Soul message. The energy right now is so dense and intense, and it feels like we're in this kind of energetic wobble, and it feels kind of tender. I pulled this message through about 4 or 5 days ago, and I sat down to record, and there was a myriad of things that stopped me from being able to do so. And it's given me time to sit with this energy a little bit more. And I feel like it's so much that it's going to take me all month to unpack it. When I do spirit readings, especially which are channeled messages for people, often the messages that come through are so incredibly nuanced. It's like spirit wants us to know over and over and over again that it is not either or, it is both and. And so this message has a lot of that kind of circular feel, where it's like we're going to start here and I'm going to explain, and then it's going to come here and it seems contradictory to what I'm going to say, and then you come back around and it loops in again. It's like looking at both sides of the coin that seem different, but they're the same coin. So it has that kind of energy. So before I get too far into it, I want to give the dates for all the events this month because I forget every time. Okay, so we have a full moon in Scorpio on May 5th. The moon ceremonies are always pre-recorded, and those are available in my shop a couple days before the full or new moon. So full moon in Scorpio on May 5th, and then we have Women's Circle on May 12th. I've just opened up Women's Circle, and Intuitive Collage already was, but Women's Circle is now open to the public. So if you want to come to those live events and you're not part of the Wild Sisterhood membership, you can now do that. And it's kind of a way to just dip your toe in, see what it's all about. Like, is this something that you want to engage with every month and be in that kind of held container? You don't get access to the online private community unless you're part of the membership, but that's whether you want that or not. And then we have new moon in Taurus on May 19, and then we have Intuitive Collage on May 26. So the live events now sit on my website on the community and events tab, and you can just go down there and you can register for those individual events. And then, like I said, the moon ceremonies are in the shop a couple days before, and if you're on my newsletter, you'll get a reminder of those. And the moon ceremonies are usually about a half an hour of me bringing through energy like what's in these soul messages, and then the second half of it is a group healing. So also, if you haven't done individual work with me and you're curious about what that's like, it's a way to dip your toe in and see what that is all about. And I should mention while I'm here that if you are a first timer to moon ceremony, you can download it for free, the very first one, with the code NEWBIE, NEWBIE, all caps. Okay, so the energy for the month. Let's first talk about the astrological pieces that are coming in, because we are in a Mercury retrograde, in the middle of it. So it started April 21, will end May 14, but you got to remember there are 2 weeks of a setup phase at the beginning of it and 2 weeks of an integration phase. What that means for us right here in this moment is that we are going to be in the Mercury retrograde and the shadow of it, the integration phase at the end, for the entire month of May. So Mercury is the planet of communication and language and travel and plans and organization and technology. So, I'm not an astrologer. I don't get too into the details of all of that, but I do follow it and watch it because the energy is influencing what I'm feeling, and it's a way for me to kind of look at what I'm feeling and then, toggle in that. So, it's widely known and widely spread. Don't sign contracts during Mercury retrograde. Don't buy technological computers. Don't do any of that stuff. And when you are in it, I'm sure you've already seen, because we've been in it for a while now. Technology can tend to go haywire, and it has absolutely been for me. So the other thing about Mercury retrograde is there's always a message. There's a Mercury retrograde message, and the message comes at the midpoint. And the midpoint in this cycle right here is sitting right on the full moon, which also happens to be a total lunar eclipse. So that's on May 5th. And I think technically, if you count the days, I didn't count the days, so I don't, it might technically be on the 4th. But anyways, the midpoint is when you typically get your Mercury retrograde message. And what that means is Mercury's wanting you to, one of my teachers used to say, that I guess all retrogrades, but Mercury retrograde specifically, because they come, usually 3 times a year, is a disintegration to reintegration phase. And so I absolutely feel that. It's like we're dissolving, but we don't know what we're becoming yet. And so there's a wobble of the unknown and kind of like a white knuckly, grippy feeling. I did a video about that just recently on Instagram, but that energy that's coming through. So start looking around for that, like around that first week of May, May 5th, 4th, somewhere in there. And it's great that, it's right synchronistic with a full moon. That is also a total lunar eclipse. And the new moon that we just had, almost 2 weeks ago was also an eclipse. So we are also in eclipse season, which has that feeling of like you're trucking along, you think you know where you're going, and all of a sudden the lights go out. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what. And then all of a sudden the lights go back on and you're like, oh my God, what is all this clutter around me? And how did this get here? And how did I not realize that I was standing in this sea of dirt and mess? So that's a little bit in the energy of what I'm going to talk about too. So getting down to the May soul message, when I asked what is the energy of May, I literally saw a black box and it was like this. It was so quiet. It is like a deafening quiet. Like everything, all sounds go away right before some like massive explosion is going to happen. That's funny because my husband just told me a story yesterday about lighting a controlled fire. And one time he did it with unleaded gas and didn't realize, oh, you have to use diesel because it burns slower. And he did it with unleaded gas and he threw the match on the fire and like he could hear like a deafening sound. And then he dropped to the ground as it exploded. So it's that's the feeling, like this deafening quiet. It's like you can hear the sound, the inside sounds, but that like, holy cow, like it's this deafening because something big is about to come. So this is where it gets really nuanced with the black box, and you got to just work with me here because I'm even still understanding what the hell this means. So I'm seeing this black box, and inside of the black box is this infinite. So you're looking at a box and you're thinking, okay, well that looks restrictive because it's a box and there's a lid on it. But when you go into the box, there's this infinite potential. It's like you're in outer space, and that's where, kind of the quantum field is, and the all possibility lives. And what we're doing right now is like we're outside of the black box, and on the outside of the black box is like, it's almost has like a white clean table that it's sitting on. And the energy outside of the box is kind of where we are. This is so matrixy. So just work with me here because I'm even trying to still understand this whole thing. So the energy outside of the box is like the energy of the matrix. And it seems like as you're looking at the black box, that would be the energy of the matrix because you're going into a box into restrictive contained energy. But this is where it's so nuanced and confusing because it looks like we're free outside of the box. But what I'm hearing is that energy actually is the matrix. That's where you are controlled because we are constantly inundated with programming from the outside world telling us what we should do and who we should be and all of this constant input. And what I saw is like, it's like the heat of the sun, which can be supportive and healing and nurturing, but then also with too much of it, or when the UV is too high, you can get really burned. And so what I'm seeing is the sun, the heat of the sun, that as a metaphor, but also the pressure of the outside world to be and do and have all the stuff. It's like the keeping up with the Joneses stuff. You're looking over your shoulder, looking at what everybody else is doing and going, oh my gosh, I'm not enough if I don't have this, this, and this, and I'm not doing that, that, and that. But the reality is you are closer to having everything when you let go of all those things and you come in and you quiet your mind, you close your eyes and you listen and you connect in with yourself. And it's like, that's how you're most abundant, is being connected with yourself. So what I'm seeing is that the pressure from the outside world of, you know, this feeling of the grind, I often call it like the hamster wheel, or another loving term that I have for it is the Bardo Ferris wheel. It's like you're going around in the Bardo, in the realm of the in-between, and you're trying to figure out, you know, who the hell you are, but you get on this hamster wheel and you can't get off, and then, you know, you're getting looped around and you don't realize, you know, what the hell's going on. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, I got on the hamster wheel again. I have to get it back off. It's kind of like meditation training. So we're being squeezed from that external energy, that pressure, and it's so uncomfortable that it's like it's almost working for our benefit, because it has an experience of, you know, our hand behind our back being pulled and we have to say uncle. And so it's like surrendering to the unknown. Like we're almost being pushed into that black box. Like, okay, there's no more possibility for expansion out here. It just doesn't exist. You can't become free, even though it looks like you're on the outside. This is like, it kind of feels like mind controlling a little bit, but it looks like you're free on the outside, but the freedom is actually inside the box. And so let me describe. So we're on the outside, we're being pushed, and then there's this way that like, okay, I can't keep trying to cling on to the known anymore, because clinging on to the known, or AKA gripping on to the physical things in my environment or my reality, meaning I want to buy something, I have to have something. It's all this focus on the external as the solution. And we have to start putting our focus on the quantum field, on the 99.99999% of energy that we are, as opposed to the 0.00001% matter that we are, the 95% of our brain that is made up of subconscious and only 5% conscious. We have to start waking up to this and placing our energy on the subconscious, the unconscious, the unseen. That is the yin, that is the feminine, that is where our attention needs to go. And so what's happening is, as we're gripping to these things, it's this white knuckly, like, oh my God, I'm being called to change, and I'm resisting it a little bit. I don't want to change because I don't know what's on the other side of that. So we're kind of in this white knuckly gripping onto the known, and we're being asked to dissolve into the chrysalis, and we can't see what's on the other side of it. That's part of the whole gig. So as you're squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and you surrender into the black box, it feels like, oh my God, I'm going to be put in chains, or I'm going to be limited and I'm not going to be in control anymore. But what I'm seeing is, as we walk into the black box is infinite in potential, in energy, in magic. And initially you walk in and it feels dark, and it feels like, oh my gosh, I can't see. You know, now I'm even further into the unknown, and it gets scary, and what is this? But this is the message at the bottom of all of it. As you walk into that black box, as you walk into the unknown, you are the light that lights that darkness. And what that means, you know, that's going to look different for all of us. But it's finding our own unique magic and resonance and lighting that on fire. I have been feeling for years now, since I started doing my work professionally 5 years ago, full time. And, but I have been feeling definitely since January of this year, like this massive wave of intuitives, healers, empaths waking up and coming online to give their gifts. And it's why I started offering mentoring on my website, because I know these people are coming, and I've got to do an entrepreneurial course so that it helps people move through this territory, and a waking up to your intuition and all of these things, because there's so much of this going. But this is what you have to realize, is that you are the answer. You yourself are the answer to your problems. You yourself, your own light, is what you're here to activate. This language has started coming to me as I work with individual people. Like, what is my mission? What is my purpose? And what I keep hearing is that I'm here to help women specifically, because that's who I work with mostly, help them activate their magic on the planet. By clearing the debris that is in their way that they cannot see, clearing that energetically. Because if you can't see that it's there, you don't realize it's there, and then you can feel that something's in your path, but you don't know what it is, and so, whatever. So that's what I do in individual sessions. But this is what we're being called to do collectively. And each one of us, as we activate our magic, as we turn on our light, and it feels like it comes from the heart. It's like we have to allow ourselves to go through the pain, the grief, the heartache, the heartbreak. And the heartbreak itself is the thing that breaks our light open, and then we start emanating that out. And then it lightens the dark that is in our realm, and then we become like a radio tower, like an antenna, like a lighthouse. And we start reverberating that energy out, and then we call in the people that we're meant to work with or befriend, or it's like the friends or the family you choose. It's that kind of energy. It's like the people start finding you because you are vibrating at a certain frequency that allows people to find you. So, the nuance is you're standing on the outside and you think you're free, but you're not free at all. You're nothing, but you're not free in any way. But the matrix wants to tell you that you're free by having all these things, by having a bunch of money, by being able to buy this and buy that and buy that. And all that does is keep you enslaved to the matrix. And, I'm not disadvocating abundance. We all need abundance. We all need money. We all need to be resourced. But one of the, I was going to say a koan, but a Sankalpa that I've been working with in Yoga Nidra. And if you have not tried my Yoga Nidras yet, go to Insight Timer, follow me. I'm working on more of those and chants as well. But a Sankalpa is an intention that you place inside of a Yoga Nidra. And the one that I've been working with lately is I am resourced, instead of just I am abundant, but I am resourced. Like there is a constant flow of energy, resources, money, funds, friends, community, everything that I need, food, health, wealth, all of it, right? So that I'm focused on being resourced as it comes up through me, and not on the physical thing. I have to have this physical thing, right? Yes, all of that. That's just why it's so nuanced. It's like, yes, and you also need things and, whatever. But so we're outside of the box and it feels like we're free. And then we go inside the box, which looks restrictive, and, there's a lid on it and contained. But as you're in there, you realize, no, this is actually where infinite potential lives. This is where infinity lives. And it's sort of like, if you have your eyes open and you're looking around and you can see everything, you think that you know everything. But it's only when you close your eyes and go in and start meditating and doing Yoga Nidras and all of this that you start seeing, and your third eye starts activating and getting open. And then you start seeing the truth and the reality inside of everything. And then when you open your eyes, you have a different understanding of what's happening, and you can kind of see through the nuance and, the matrix, so to speak. It's crazy, this energy. It feels like we have to go into that dark, because where that dark is where all the rich minerals underneath the soil live. And that's where we're learning to work with and to call in that divine feminine again, and work with that divine feminine to build and cultivate a relationship with it. Which is why I did the Nidras that I did. Becoming the Witness is all about becoming the witness inside of yourself, and then Unearthing the Goddess is about reconnecting with this feminine urge and this feminine energy. And the one I'm working on right now is called Embracing the Hag, so that we can learn to befriend the dark parts of ourselves, the parts that we would think are ugly, or, not ready for prime time, or too old, or, the way society kind of disregards the hag as being like old and irrelevant, but that's where all the wisdom lives. So we actually get taught to look away from where the wisdom lives, which, you can do what you want with that, whether you think that's intentional or not. Okay, so a couple of the suggestions that I have for this month. I'm just going to keep talking about these because this is where it's at right now. We have to be focusing on our frequency. We have to be focusing on the cleansing of our mind, our energy field, our bodies through all of that, right? So one way is chanting. I'm also working on a Learn to Chant course on Insight Timer. I was going to do a 40-day Learn to Chant challenge, but I've decided to split those into two. So you can do just a Learn to Chant. I think that's probably going to be about 8 lessons. And then I'll do a 40-day challenge for those that want to go through that and, as a way to track their timing with it. But chanting it's one of my favorite practices forever and ever. It totally helped me through deep, deep grief, anxiety, fear, anger, all of it, because grief lives in the lungs. It's stored in the lungs. And so when you chant, you start to move all of that grief out. It helps you learn how to get your voice. It's so much more than just chanting mantra. It's so much more than just Sanskrit. It's like you're clearing your energy field and you're moving the grief out. And you're learning to energetically and metaphorically and physically get your voice. It's really a beautiful thing. Yoga Nidra, again, because specifically for this month, when I looked at this, Yoga Nidra is about working with that quantum field, that darkness. And so when the steps of it bring you into alpha theta brainwave states, so that when you're in the guided meditation part of it and bringing in your sankalpa, you are reprogramming your subconscious mind to receive from the quantum field as if it is already done. And that's how you manifest. And then all the frequency tools. So that can include chanting and Yoga Nidra, but, anything, meditation, yin yoga, tuning forks, doing healing work with me, doing any of the moon ceremonies, like all of that stuff will come. Even doing intuitive collage, which is one of my favorite practices and why I included it in the Wild Sisterhood membership, because it's like pulling an oracle card. It's like doing an oracle card reading for yourself and then watching the thing unfold in front of you. It takes 0 art skills. There's no requirement. It's not about that. It's about intuitively picking the images and cutting them out and putting them together and then getting an answer to your question. It's quite nuts. And so anyways, this month, you're really going to want to pay attention to the unknown, like what's happening in the subconscious, and just know that we are in eclipse season. So that wobbly, unknown territory is just kind of where we are, and it's white knuckly and it's uncomfortable. So, okay, some of the oils for this month, Mercury retrograde. I mean, you can't hello, come on. Oh, it's so good. It has spearmint. It's like minty. It's all for communication, throat energy, right? Because that's what Mercury is. So definitely Mercury, gotta have that. I even have a spray version of this, which I do sell the sprays, by the way. So if you ever want one, just message me and I can send you a spray instead of the roller if you prefer. But I have a spray at my desk and I just over anytime I'm writing, anytime I'm working, anything to do with Mercury energy. And then the oil for the month. This is so nuts how this one even came. I was just writing and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard an oil. And then the minute I said that, I just saw lemongrass and I was like, okay, that's it, because we're cleansing energy. If you smell this, I have this diffusing in every room in the house right now, so I can smell it readily in this room. But it has this feeling of clearing the cobwebs off of your shoulders. And that's the other thing. I just started cleaning and purging my house yesterday. So I'm telling you what, if you have anxious energy and you don't know what to do with it, just put on some crankin' music and start cleaning. Because this is the energy that we're in. Lemongrass is the oil of cleansing. And really, really powerful. It's cleansing the cobwebs from our psychic field, from our mind, from our heart, from all of the bodies. It's like clearing it from our whole auric field. And, my daughter was asking me the other day about essential oils and why work, or what was the thing, and I was explaining this thing that I'll share here about the nervous system of the plant. When we commune, when we use essential oils, especially pure essential oils, because you're communing with the spirit of the plant itself, what you are doing is you're entraining your body, your physical body, mental, emotional, spiritual, you're entraining it with the nervous system of that oil. That's why it's so powerful. That's why it's plant medicine. That's why it's not just like, oh, some nice smell that I like to have in my house. This is medicine. And so when you commune with an oil or a combination of oils, you are calling the message of that plant, whatever that plant, whatever the thing that they do the best, they're teaching your nervous system how to do it. It's the same way when an infant is born without a fully developed nervous system, and then they borrow the nervous system of the adults around them to tell them how to cope with challenging things. And that's exactly what essential oils do. So if you're feeling wobbly and like there's a lot of clutter in your physical space, in your home, in your mind, and whatever, diffuse lemongrass. Okay, let's see what the card is for this month here. Whew. It's interesting. The last couple days that I've pulled cards, or even the last week or something, it feels like the energy of the cards, like typically I feel like this crackling, and it's been harder to discern which card it is. So let's see what we got here. The Despicable Face. I mean, if that doesn't look like what things feel like right now, I don't even know what. It's like the muddy unknown in the middle that's like, what is happening? And all this stuff outside. It's like, this is how my home feels right now. Like, just clutter needs to be cleared and stuff needs to go to Goodwill. I'm like, we've got to just get rid of all the stuff, because it's like what we're doing, we can't underestimate the power of what we're going through right now. We are, we're shedding. This is what I said in the video I just did recently. We're dying while we're alive. And there are old parts of us, if you want to talk about it in new age terms, it's like we're moving from a carbon-based body to a crystalline-based body. And so there's parts of us dying off, and it's like, well, wait a minute, I thought I needed that part of myself, or that was part of my identity. Oh my God, how am I going to get along without that thing now? And, the gig is like, we're actually shedding the parts of ourselves that were like a mask that were protecting us, and they weren't really the real self. And we're learning to discover what the real self is. And as I say that, let me tell you what the energy of this card is. What is hidden, unaccepted, or shamed? Now I understand that my embracing the hag is completely in divine timing with this energy and the release of that. The Despicable Face is never seen. Rather, it is kept in hiding to save outward appearances. Are you hearing me? You can't make this shit up. This card appears when something below the surface wants to be witnessed in order to be transformed. Everyone has their own version of the Despicable Face and their own reasons for assuming it is an abomination. Okay? That is the hag right there. And this is what I want to stop and talk about synchronicity for a second. We have to start paying attention to it and recognizing when it happens, that those synchronicities are a message from the universe saying, yes, you're on track. I was at the river yesterday, and literally I'm in the middle of writing this Embracing the Hag, and a woman walks by with a t-shirt that says the Feral Hag. And I'm like, are you even kidding me? I stopped and asked her if that's what it said. And I'm like, I love you already. I don't even need to know anything else. Okay, it could be a buried resentment, an insecurity, or a physical characteristic that holds us back from expressing our true self. Okay, we got to pause again. This is the black box, because the black box is the unknown, the darkness, and the feeling. It's like, You know that feeling when you have something on your to-do list, you know that there's something you need to be doing, but you're procrastinating doing it. And it's like, oh God, because you're procrastinating, you don't want to feel the feelings that you think are going to be associated with whatever that task is. And so you avoid it, right? Then you sit down, finally, there's a deadline or whatever, and you sit down to finally do it. And then it takes like a half an hour and it's over. And you're like, that was so stupid. Why was I waiting so long? It's like the fear is always worse than the thing itself. And if you just do the thing itself, not only do you move through the energy of it faster, but then you come out the other side proud of yourself that you faced your own fear. So that is also the energy of the black box now, I'm understanding. Remarkably, okay, I'll say this again, I don't remember where I left off. It could be a buried resentment and insecurity or a physical characteristic that holds us back from expressing our true self. Okay, so maybe we physically think we're ugly, we think our insides are ugly, we think we have nothing to offer, all of that, that ugliness, that oldness, nice hair, is, but that's exactly it, it's perfect. It's the energy of the hag. It's like the old ugly woman that we're told we should never be because otherwise we'll be, discarded from society. And it's like, oh, the minute you turn 40, you're supposed to be like, not valuable anymore. Only if you're a woman. If you're a man, then you're just going to become a silver fox and you're just better with age, and what a bunch of bullshit. Okay, remarkably, once revealed, it is not despicable at all. Oh my God, this is what I literally just said. It is human. It is interesting. What once was thought of as an error becomes an asset on our journey of alchemical transformation, okay? This is literally written on the about page of my website. When you can, and because I tell my story about it, and when you learn that your pain is actually your purpose, it shifts everything. When you realize that, because then it's like, oh, my pain is actually beneficial to work with, because then I can learn from it. And then once you learn from it, you can't help but teach it. And then it's a thing that you just must do. And it may become a whole new, avenue of support for you, figuratively, literally, even as a job. This card connects us to others and to humanity as a whole. Through acceptance, we lift the veil of perfection and reclaim our energy. Honesty and acceptance are the balm that heals the most tender of wounds. Okay, I've been getting this message for such a long time that honesty and, what's the word? Not honesty and acceptance. It's authenticity is the new black. Like, we just have to start showing up and showing up and showing up in all of our unworthiness, in all of our ugliness, and all the things that we don't think are ready for prime time. Because when we do that, we give it's like a lighthouse. We give a beam. We give an offering of permission for others to say, yes, go here, go do this. Whenever I see a teacher showing up in her most authentic way, it just encourages me to want to do more of the same. I don't look at her in judgment and say, oh, that's not good enough. Okay, to go deeper, watch the movie Edward Scissorhands, and to ponder acceptance as enlightenment. When this card appears, it is important to notice what company surrounds you. Those who can see and accept all sides of you are true alchemical allies. And I'll add to that, and the ones that don't, flush them down the toilet, not worth your time. This card may indicate fear or failure. Some are so afraid to make a mess that they never cook up anything in the laboratory. Try. The mess is alchemy underway. The theme of that is literally in the Yoga Nidra that I'm doing right now. This fear of mess, of not doing it perfectly, of not getting it, not understanding, everything all just being a hot mess. It's like it keeps us from creating the thing that we're here to create. And we have to just dump it. I mean, this is what we're doing in the Wild Sisterhood membership, the group. It's like, this is the whole arc of why I heard to create this. Because women have been, it's like the lineage, what do I want to say? It's like the thread of sisterhood has been broken with judgment and ridicule and, putting each other down and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, we have become afraid of joining groups like that, or of dipping our toe into community in this way, because we've been so burned by it. And we're afraid, rightfully so. But in order to heal it, we have to step into it and recognize, no, wow, I have value. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be seen. I deserve all of my ugliness to be seen and to be accepted. That's like the basis of everything that we're doing there. That is the basis of what I teach in it, because we have to start realizing that our sisters are our allies. And we have to start, it's like we're reweaving a thread and bringing that sisterhood back together in sacred union. When we witness ourselves in others, it gives us encouragement to be more and more and more ourselves, and to drop those kind of masks, those parts of ourselves that we've used to shield, that actually are the things that make us ugly, not make us pretty, not make us better. The ways that we try to shield and protect ourselves, it actually makes us go into like a fight or flight response, and we tense up and clench up. And, it's like we're all tense, instead of, in childbirth, the baby and the mother have to soften and relax and allow it to come through. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now in May, this energy of, that's what we're doing collectively, energetically all the time. But this energy of the black box is like, don't be afraid of the shadow. Don't be afraid of those dark parts of yourself that you think aren't ready. Like, you are special. You have a unique gift to give the world, and we all need what you have to offer right here, right now. This is the question. Like, do you want to die at the end of your life, whenever that is? Do you want to die having never expressed your true, authentic self while you're here? Like, what a complete tragedy. Or do you want to risk shame and blame, rejection? Do you want to, I know they sound terrible, and they are terrible. In direct experience, rejection and, being the black sheep and being tossed out, they're terrible experiences. And also, people that do that to you let you know they're not your people. That's not where you belong. It's the story of the ugly duckling who, thought they were a duck, and it turned out they were a beautiful swan the whole time. You got to go find your swans. And you can't do that if you dim your light and pretend to be a duck. You have to be who you are to then find your people. It's cyclical. So anyways, all right. I think that's it. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. If you want to engage more with my work, I just say, go to my website, look at all the offerings. We've got events, the moon ceremonies, we've got the oils. If you want help with Young Living oils, if you want individual oils and you want help with that, there's a whole aromatherapy page on my website that explains about it. But you can also just book a free consult with me and talk about it if there's something you specifically need. Even if it's one of my blends, if you're like, I'm working with this thing and I don't know what oil works with that, just book a consult and I'll talk you through it, and we'll just tune in and figure out what it is. So I love doing that because the oils have helped me so much. I swear to God. When I first got my starter kit, I felt like a team of spirit helpers showed up at my door, and it was so emotional I couldn't even talk about it for several months. I just had to work with it and tune in and let it happen to me. So anyways, and please come join. I would love to have you. Women's Circle Intuitive Collage, or do one of the moon ceremonies and check that out too. All right. I love you. Take care. I'm dissolving as well. It's totally uncomfortable. I have no idea what I'm doing, even up to the point of like, am I even going to record this message? What am I doing in my business? How am I putting it together? It's like all of it is dissolving, and I can feel it, regenerating underneath me, but I can't see it yet. And it's really, really scary. I'm right here with you doing the damn thing, doing the work. So anyways, I honor you in all the work that you are doing. And know that it's not for nothing. Every single moment that you choose the light, every single moment that you choose yourself in all of this crazy darkness, every time you double down and say, I'm going to commit to a chanting practice, or I'm going to do yoga nidra, or I'm going to book a healing session, I know that moment when you go, especially to work with a new healer, is so vulnerable. It's like you just don't want to do it. You're like, oh my God, I don't want all my dark shadow to come up, or I don't want her to see what it is I have going on. But that risk, it's so beneficial. You know, I have it at the same time. When I go to work with new teachers, or even with old teachers that I've worked with, I'm like, oh God, am I ready to face that thing about myself? It's horrible. But once you get there, you're so happy that you did it. So anyways, I love you. I honor your path. And I wish you the best in all of your opening and cracking your light and showing it to, you know, lighting up the dark inside of yourself and inside of this world that looks free but isn't. So, all right, I love you. Namaste. Have a wonderful month.